Welcome to the hottest grappling show in Arizona. The Valley is home to an amazing grappling community. Join us as we roll through the top jiu-jitsu schools in the state. Our goal? To highlight incredible instructors, their academies, and their amazing journeys through life and jiu-jitsu. It's not the destination, it's the journey that counts. Welcome to Rollin Through the Valley.
Got one side. My hands gonna be out front. I'm gonna hit right here and snap it down.
Sills here, rolling through the valley. Here we are at Boa Jiu-Jitsu, and with me is Andrew Gardineer. Andrew, nice to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town in Colorado, Newcastle, Colorado. Played sports growing up, went to college, played a little junior college basketball, and then moved out here with a friend. Just kind of stumbled upon jiu-jitsu one day. Like one of my friends, I was working in a restaurant at the time, would come up and give me kidney shots when I was serving at Cheddar Bay Biscuits at Red Lobster, that sort of thing, you know. And just started getting me in the gym, and I fell in love with it. I thought I wanted to do Muay Thai, and then kind of fell in love with jiu-jitsu over time.
Awesome. How long have you been teaching jiu-jitsu?
Well, I started teaching as a blue belt, so like
nice.
like 2007, 2008, but then like would have intermittent times where I was not the teacher, which was good.
Yeah.
So it's been a little while.
So you are the head instructor here at Boa?
I am, yep.
And so how did that name come about? Like, tell us a little bit about the history.
Well, I don't speak Portuguese, but de boa is like a Portuguese phrase. It means like good, chilling.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the vibe that we want to create here. I love jiu-jitsu. I love competition, but I don't do jiu-jitsu for the competition. I do it for the lifestyle. So we kind of have like a laid-back approach to jiu-jitsu where it's like we're aggressive in the competition scene, but we're here to enjoy it and enhance our lives.
And so you're the head instructor too, and then there's also Leslie Gardiner, your wife, is that correct?
Yeah, she's my wife, yep. And
awesome.
She teaches the kids class for primarily. So that's been really nice that I've been able to focus on the adults. So.
Obviously, jiu-jitsu teaches a lot of life lessons. What does jiu-jitsu mean to you?
Yeah, I love the parallels of jiu-jitsu in life. There's so many things that we go through the struggles on the mat, and then we have like a similar situation outside of the mat, but no one's trying to choke you. So it's like it puts everything in perspective and lets you work through problem solving and use what you're doing on the mats on an everyday basis to try to get through life's trials and tribulations too.
And what are your thoughts on competition?
You know, for me personally, I think competition's been a great way to help me grow. I don't do jiu-jitsu because of competition. I use competition as a tool to help me aid in jiu-jitsu and grow as a person. And I kind of encourage all my students to compete as well. And that's not necessarily being a competitor, but to compete a little bit at each belt level to really test yourself and to have that inner turmoil that competition brings and the anxiety and the stresses that it brings out.
Have you also competed? Or?
I have. I compete at least once or twice a year, but typically about 4 or 5 times a year. It's a love-hate relationship like a lot of people, you know.
Right.
Every time you click submit, your life kind of changes, and like you start eating differently, you start viewing training differently, you start viewing your rest time differently. So I think it's important. It's a mental challenge that a lot of people that aren't doing jiu-jitsu don't get to face. So it helps us persevere and be bigger people.
And tell us how you run your academy. Do you have any competition classes? How do you prepare your students for competition? So
it's a balance. We have a lot of families here, so a lot of our people are, you know, middle-aged, somewhere around the 35, 40 mark is probably our biggest demographic. So at first I was doing a lot of competition classes in the regular classes, and people were getting burnt out and not making it to class as much. So I've kind of toned down the regular classes enough so that people can have the energy to come to our competition class on Saturday and have that competition mindset. Then we could train jiu-jitsu for numerous reasons throughout the week, like self-defense reasons, for just enjoyment and friendship and camaraderie, and then have that other element where it's like flip the switch. It's time to go and do competition
Same for
class.
kids. How do you prepare your kids for competition?
Yeah, so our kids, they also have a competition class. They can earn their way into the competition team. Not all kids want to do jiu-jitsu. Sometimes parents bring them in and say, hey, here you go. But we want to have the kids that want to really strive to do better things in jiu-jitsu. And we put them all together on our competition class days, and they push each other, and they get a different intensity of training.
And you guys do really well, top 10.
Right
Congratulations. Okay, so tournaments can be a little nerve-wracking, right?
Yeah.
How was your first competition experience?
Well, it was unorganized. I did Desert Quest back when I was a white belt. It wasn't like now where you could look to see who's in your division and kind of get prepared mentally for that. So it's like pretty much get there that morning, weigh in, they put your name in a hat, and they draw you out. So I think I was about three months in maybe when I did my first competition. I think I competed against a blue belt and a purple belt that day.
Oh my God.
So it was a little bit different.
Rough.
I don't really remember the results or the too much of the anxiety, but it was a different world. It was kind of fun that I got to experience that before it's developed so much, and the AZBJJL came around and helped like really reinvent competition in the Arizona scene.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your competition mindset and what is it that you share with your students going into competition?
Yeah, so coming up competing, I didn't have a whole lot of guidance. Like I said, I started teaching as a blue belt some, and my black belt was kind of not really in the scene much anymore. So it was like kind of go out in there and figure it out yourself. So I always prepared for like a 2 or 3 minute submission. And I got a lot of good submissions in my competition experience, but I also got beat a lot because I was playing this 2 or 3 minute game that left me exhausted for the rest of the match. So over time, I've got to develop my competition strategy and to make sure that I still like to look for the submission. I feel like it's a part of jiu-jitsu that shouldn't die. I don't try to win by one advantage. But if the match is going towards that way, I need to try to win by that one advantage and have that game plan. So when we do our competition class, I like to put my students in situations that they'll be in a tournament so that they could already feel that comfortability with an uncomfortable situation that they might face in a tournament.
What is one of the biggest lessons competition has taught you?
Yeah, I think just being mentally tough. So leading up, it's not just the competition itself, it's the leading up to the competition. So I start doing like different strength and conditioning workouts that push me to my breaking point and make sure that I have those parts where my mind wants to quit and I have to push through, and then like cold plunges and stuff like that that really like push you outside your comfort zone.
That's awesome.
I think as human beings, a lot of times that like we feel like, oh, this is all I can do, this is my limit, and we have so much more that we could push through. So competition gives us that opportunity to figure out where we can push to and what we can ultimately gain. So.
What advice would you give your younger self when you first started jiu-jitsu, or any advice that you can share with someone just starting out?
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is I get to teach jiu-jitsu on an everyday basis. So I relearn jiu-jitsu every week. If it's a position that I'm very comfortable with, like mount, it's not like I'm going to relay on the information that I've already learned. I want to like think about the positions, think what's working in training, and try to reinvent the position and then dive into that position. Coming up, a lot of times I was a scissor sweep to triangle kind of guy, and I was winning all kinds of stuff in the gym, you know, and I felt really good about that, and I didn't really stray from that and work on my bottom side control, my bottom mount, my all the other positions that we really need to dive into, because it's super important that we don't just have an A game, but we have a game from every position.
Anything going on at Boa that we should know about?
So we have a lot going on at Boa always, just like as far as the competition scene. I try to stay pretty active with the team all year round, just to give us those different goals and have different people looking to sharpen their game at different times, and it really pushes the team to excel overall. For me personally, Masters Worlds is always my Super Bowl because I'm older than the world scene, you know, so I want to make sure that I get, you know, some local tournaments in and to sharpen up, and I've already started training for that. But personally, what I'm looking forward to the most is we got a trip to Costa Rica coming up. So it's always good to get away from jiu-jitsu for me now that I do it 24/7, and just to make sure that I reprioritize everything and look at it from an outside view and have that excitement for coming back and sharing knowledge with the students.
Have fun in Costa Rica. I'm jealous. Do you have social media, a website? How can we find out more about the school?
So our website is deboabjj.com, and then you can find us on Facebook and Deboa at Facebook and Instagram at deboabjj. My personal one, I do have Instagram and Facebook, but I don't really use it a whole lot. It's not really part of my life as much. I like to enjoy my life and not on social media.
Awesome. It was a pleasure. Thank you so
very
much
much
for your time.
Yeah.